Hi, welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to share how I keep my oil paints from drying out between painting sessions. And between sessions can be anywhere from overnight to over the weekend, and in some cases a few weeks. For instance, I have two painting stations set up in my studio. One is for portrait work and this one here is for still life. And when I'm working on portraits, I'll just cover up the still life palette and let it sit for several weeks, sometimes up to a couple of months. And some of the paints will last, but we'll get to that in a minute here. To keep your oil paints from drying out, it's always a good idea to use a glass palette. It's not going to soak up the oils like any other palettes do. And one of the things you need to get is clove oil. You can get this at health food stores, natural food stores. You just order it online. It's not very expensive. And you need a container to put it in. You can use any small glass, metal, or ceramic container. Plastics do tend to degrade and melt with the essential oils. This is just a little metal votive candle holder. Just clean that up and you can use that. I use a little miniature ceramic teacup. Stuff a cotton ball in the container, and then you take your eyedropper and you soak the cotton ball really well with the clove oil. And then you need to cover the palette, and what I've done is I've built a picture frame to fit over the top of the palette. The glass has been sealed in with silicone, and on the back I have, this is weather stripping. You get it at any home improvement center or hardware store. And it's going to help seal as much of the air out. And I set it on top, and it'll keep the paints fresh. How long depends on the temperature of your studio. The colder your studio, the longer the paints are going to remain open. The hotter, the faster they're going to dry. Now these have been sitting in the studio, these paints, for, I'm going to say about 2.5 months, about 62 degrees. And we'll go over here and see how they've done. This is flake white. It's pretty unusable, it's pretty tacky and set up. Flake white typically dries out in about 2 weeks. This is titanium white. Titanium white's fine, still usable. I've had titanium white last up to 4 months this way and not dry out. We have Windsor yellow. Windsor yellow is skimmed over, and there's probably still some workable paint underneath, but I'd throw it out anyway. Cad yellow light is fine. Yellow ochre is fine. I've never had either of those to dry out. I have Windsor red. Cadmium red. Cadmium red starts to set up in about 3 weeks or so. This is already set up. It's a little workable, but I'd end up throwing it away anyway. Alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson only lasts about 3 weeks before it dries. And then we have dioxazine purple, French ultramarine blue, and cerulean. These three remain open for a very long time. I've never had a problem with them. The two paints that are not on the palette are burnt umber and ivory black. Burnt umber will last no more than overnight, if that, this way. It dries very quickly. And ivory black probably in about 2 weeks. And knowing that before I covered this palette up, I did scrape those off and throw them away. If you don't have the means to go through making the frame, you can still save your paints by using things you find around the house. Here I have a piece of 5x7 just regular picture frame glass. You can take your paint, transfer it to the glass, and then I just have a metal, this is an old Christmas tin. You can set the glass in there, put your clove oil, and seal it with a large plastic zipper bag. The more airtight you can make this, the longer the paints will last. I'll actually use this method if I need to save burnt umber or any mixtures that I've made with burnt umber longer than overnight. It will last sometimes a week or more. It really depends on temperature and how completely airtight you can get this. So I hope this tip helps a lot. I'll be uploading some more studio tips on YouTube and some painting progression videos very soon. So feel free to subscribe, follow me on Facebook. You can also follow my blog where I'll be sharing these tips in detail. Thanks and have a good day. No, don't close. Did I save? Shoot.